Okay, peace and blessings, family. Welcome to another episode of the Prolific Perspective Podcast. And today I have another special guest. Today I have Mr. Bradley Wilson, the founder of BK Financial Solutions, and he will be joining us today to talk about wealth, to talk about protecting your wealth, and how to be able to leverage, wealth building in terms of your business, in terms of your career, and in terms of your family. So, with that being said, Mr. Bradley, how you doing today? I appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Filthy.
Hey, I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate it. So BK Financial Solutions, I know all the products and services that you offer to your clients and to the marketplace, but can you kind of, for the people listening, share, how did you get into the path of entrepreneurship and how did you get into business ownership, or what is your why for the business that you started?
Oh, sure. Well, thanks for that question. It actually goes back many years. It's one of those things where um, I've always had, we'll say, the entrepreneurial spirit, but lots of times you have to be at the right place in life and in order to actually fulfill that dream. So uh, my background, I was in corporate America for 20, 25 years with my wife as well. And so we've always wanted to find out what would be our area where we could help other people, because if in entrepreneurship, there has to be passion behind it. We have to be
Right,
motivated. It has to be very meaningful for us to do that because we know that being a business owner is very challenging,
yeah,
and so we wanted to make sure that we were at the right place in life and with our family in order to take on that because there's risk involved with that. And
right,
so uh, over the years, we've always been doing some behind the scenes planning and things like that as to what would be best for us. So we've evolved in our careers and built up expertise and knowledge in some areas, in the areas of real estate, in the areas of financial management, and things like that. So
mhm,
um, we finally got to that place about 6 years ago when I retired from the corporate world. I was a project engineer, a project manager, finance management. I took a lot of those skills and expertise and decided that would be a good place for me. And my wife was in real estate attorney, so we were going to help people build wealth across the board from a lot of
mhm,
different areas. So not just in real estate, but actually in the solutions that we provide. And
mm,
so about 3 years ago, um, uh, me and my we sat down and said, in addition to real estate, you know, what makes sense for us? So we sat there and we decided, over the years, we developed an appreciation for all the learnings that we obtained, really navigating our own personal finances, which
mm,
can be challenging.
mhm,
And and most of those learnings, to be honest with you, were a result of our need to address our own personal challenges and a lot
mm,
of financial fears that we had. So we came to understand that those challenges that we were experiencing were fears that were common for most people.
right,
So we felt that this would be a good area for us to sort of say, pay our knowledge and expertise forward to make a meaningful impact helping other people. And that's why we founded BK Financial Solutions. Um,
mm,
and our ultimate goal is to help our clients achieve financial peace of mind.
mm. I love it. I love it. And
So that's
no,
kind of our why as to why we
gotcha.
and that's how we help families. Um, with respect to business owners, I'm sure you got business owners in your audience. Uh,
Absolutely.
the reason why we want to help those folks is because um, as business owners, we understand that we spend most of our time grinding daily, working in the business, right?
Right, right,
But oftentimes we don't spend enough time working on the business. And
right.
I mean from a long-term strategic planning standpoint and also from a risk mitigation standpoint.
Mm,
And that's a big problem. And
Right.
so, kind of let me explain. It's kind of analogous to the sports world. I don't know if you're a sports fan,
I
but
am. I am.
okay. So you probably heard the statement, offense, scores points, but
Right.
defense wins championships.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and that's true. That's true in the sports world. It's also true in your financial world as well.
Right.
So, for
Absolutely.
example, business owners, they're like the head coach,
Right.
of the business, right? And they can be successful running a successful operation, with a
Right.
strong offense, which means they're generating sales, they're got good investments, and they're making big profits.
Right.
Okay, that's offense. But if you don't have a good defensive plan that's going to guard against your potential financial risk, you can lose those profits.
Right.
You can even go out of business, which
Right.
means you lost the game. You lost that championship game.
Right.
So in essence, that's where we can help. We serve as the defensive coordinator,
Mm,
for the businesses. So
I
what
like
we do in short is we help them identify what their risks are. A lot of us exist in business. We don't know what our risks are.
right.
Okay. And then we work together to implement, which I'll talk about, our 5 key defensive financial strategies to help them eliminate those risks so they can sustain their business when unexpected events occur.
I
That's what we
love
do.
it.
Yeah.
I love it. And as you were speaking, it's a lot to unpack with that because you definitely shared a lot of insight and a lot of positive information. But one thing that you said, and I want to say almost every guest that I've had on this platform has said something very similar, is that you took the skills and the skill set that you had from corporate America and
Yes.
incorporated that into your business. I can't stress how important that is for all of the listeners who are out there who are on their journey, who want to start a business or who want to be an entrepreneur but are still stuck in the 9 to 5. It's extremely imperative, I feel like, for us to use what we have and to build off of the foundation and the fundamentals that we've already established within, our careers and within our lives. I think that's something that's so common that I've heard from so many successful business owners and entrepreneurs such as yourself. And I think for those listening, that's a great way to think about what field or what industry or what path you want to go to in your journey to entrepreneurship. But I love the purpose. I love the inspiration and the why of why would Mrs. Wilson do what you do with your business. So with that, can you kind of break down some of the different areas or some of the different components of the business? I know I want to say like defensive strategies for families. Like how do you create that defensive strategy or that playbook for families in terms of being the defensive coordinator?
Oh, that's a good question. Thank you for that. So, at a high level, you know, we help, families and businesses by keeping more money in their pockets. That's the overall thing. We're going to keep money, and we're able to do that by, like I said before, showing you how to minimize those risks. Because when you do that, you don't have setbacks. You don't have financial loss. And when you have that solid foundation, then as you're running a good offense, you're able to continuously, build wealth upon that solid foundation.
Mm,
So with regards to family, defensive strategies, the first one, it is really the most important that allows you to have that solid foundation is personal asset protection.
mm,
Okay. So
mhm.
what is that? So we found that far too many people they have unknowingly and unintentionally exposed themselves to different types of financial risk. And
Mm,
that's because they did not adequately protect their most valuable assets. And when unexpected events happen that lead to financial loss, what do? We're forced to go drain our savings accounts.
right,
We sometimes we have to pull from our retirement accounts with a penalty.
right.
Sometimes we take out a loan, and sometimes we even file bankruptcy. Okay,
Mm,
and when these types of events reoccur, more than once, after you recovered from something you did 5 years ago, and we're back in that situation again, we've lost the ability to continuously build wealth so we can reach our financial goals and prepare ourselves for retirement. We
right.
can't keep having those setbacks due to a lack of a defense.
Mm,
So, we put a lot of thought into why people are exposing themselves to risk, and I think it has a lot to do with mindset.
right.
Also, it has to do with a lack of perspective on what is truly our most valuable asset. And
Mm,
that's what I talk to people about in our early conversation. So I ask people, what do you consider your most valuable asset?
wow.
And Andre, 95% of them say, what's my house? You know,
Wow.
and I say, well, your house is actually a result of your most valuable asset. They say, what do you
Right.
mean? I said, your most valuable asset is your ability to earn income.
Mm,
Your ability to earn income is your most valuable asset. Because without your income, you wouldn't be able to get a house. You
that's
wouldn't have a
true.
car. You know, all these other assets, education, all these things are a result of that.
Right.
So we need to treat it. We need to treat it that way and protect it um, accordingly. And
Right.
so um, when people start to understand that their most valuable asset is their income, then that kind of does a paradigm shift. Because what do we do with our other assets? When we buy a house, even though they require it, if you're financing, you're going to get home insurance, right?
Right. Right. Hmm.
If you get a car, you're going to get some car insurance to protect against
Right.
accidents and those collisions and things like that.
Hmm.
When you get a job, a lot of times with the employer, what kind of health insurance they got, to
Right.
protect from unexpected events that could happen with your car, with your house, with your health. But like I said, those are all byproducts of your income. We don't automatically intuitively think to protect our income or the permanent loss of income
Wow.
or temporary loss of income. So it's more of a priority type thing. So we like to ask families, how would your family's lifestyle be impacted with the permanent loss of the wages of the primary breadwinner in the house if they had a premature death? And they sit back and think about that.
Mm,
Now, do you have a plan to replace that income should something happen to them? Along those same lines, what if you became too sick or too hurt to work long term
right.
because of an unexpected injury or an illness? You know, could you keep up paying the household bills, even with a partial salary? And that makes people think. So
Oh yeah.
we have solutions to take away that risk and have people have something in place so that if those unexpected events happen, they will be okay. They can have peace of mind from that.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. So with that, let me ask you a question because this is something that I've done some research on and I'm very curious about that
Sure.
I'm looking into establish for myself and for my family. But do you guys, by any chance, do you work with trusts in terms of the solutions that you offer?
I don't directly work with trusts. I do work with within various states around the country. I work with the state planning attorneys.
I got you.
And so they're the one who will help you establish the trust. A lot of
Okay.
the solutions that we help people implement will need to go into a trust,
Ah, okay. Hmm.
for that type of protection. Yeah, that's definitely, yeah, like I said, and we work hand in hand with some very good estate planning attorneys, like I said, in various states who will help talk to them about the trust and need to have that protections as a part of estate planning.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I,
Now, one of the things, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry, I didn't say.
Okay, one of the things that like really sparked my interest when we met maybe about a month or two ago at the networking event is that when you spoke on the ability to provide these services for business owners, that really like as soon as you mentioned that, the light bulb went off in my head. It's like, hey, I got to see if I can interview this guy because that's something that I really feel like a vast majority of business owners do not consider is
Yeah.
how to protect your business and how to protect your income, how to protect all of your assets if you're an entrepreneur. Like, what services do you provide for business owners for us to be able to get that protection and that defense that you guys strategize?
Okay. Thank you for that question.
Yes, sir.
We have five defensive strategies that we like to implement with business owners based off of how they're structured. Okay.
Gotcha.
So for example, the five are the first one that we talk to business owners about, and these are business owners that have employees. Okay. And so we're talking about what are the unexpected events that could happen for a business owner that could affect their offense. Okay.
Mm,
And so There was a survey done not too long ago where 40,000 of the top CEOs around the world were asked this question. Asked them, "What's your number one internal concern?" And their number one concern was attracting and retaining key employees.
Mm,
And the and that is real because
absolutely.
with low, unemployment, and you got highly talented people in the workforce, you know, they know that they can all typically go other places to get a better compensation plan. So total compensation is huge for them. And you can pay top salary, but there's more to total compensation than just salary. So a
Right.
lot of people are looking for better retirement plans
Right.
and better incentives more than just what traditionally is out there.
Right.
So to help compete, with your competitors on retirement plans, that we offer some tools that will really incentivize them to really stay and be loyal, you know, to you. So,
Gotcha.
we ask people to wake them up. We say, what would you do if, you know, do you have one or two key employees that if they came in tomorrow and resigned effective immediately, how would your company be affected? How would it be disrupted in the short term? And how would it be affected in the long term, you know, when it comes to the bottom line of your company?
Right.
And most of those business owners can identify one or two people that would definitely make that. And so you want to keep them around. So we help
Right.
them design some compensation. We call them golden handcuffs type of solutions
I like that.
that will make it very, very much worth their while to stick around for another 5, 10, 15 years. You know,
Wow.
that's one area. Another area is with business owners who are in partnerships or have co-owners.
Mhm.
Okay. We refer to this as business succession planning or continuation planning. Okay. And this addresses the risk of financial exposure when a business owner gets caught off guard because of a big leadership change. Or
Mhm.
say you have a co-owner and all of a sudden, you know, your partner, they could leave for various reasons. Say they became disabled, or developed a chronic illness, or premature death,
Mhm.
or they just wanted to retire. When events like that happen, it leaves the business scrambling to cover the loss.
Right.
So the ownership equity in the company needs to be, resolved, especially with the premature death type situation. So business owners need to be prepared for that type of unexpected event. So we help businesses plan for the unexpected departure or planned departure of a co-owner so it doesn't totally disrupt the company. You may have a
Mm.
situation where one of the business owners was in a, God forbid, uh, you know, was in a car accident and
Uh-huh.
deceased. So they own half the ownership of the company. So that would automatically go to their family. What if
Mm.
one of the family doesn't want to work the business? They need to get bought out, right?
Right. Right.
We can help them put together plans that would fund a tool that the business could use to buy out the ownership equity in another company because they
Mm.
may not want to work with the family of the deceased. That's just an example of how
Right.
that is used. Um,
Wow.
uh, Another, and these are all very good defensive. See, if you notice the trend, these are all things that plan for unexpected events that it could be financially devastating,
Right.
to the company. Another one is disability income planning. There's things a business owner can do to keep the doors open when their business. And we found that, like even during COVID type
Right.
situation. So if the business owner became, disabled and could not be there to run the business and make the money or the profits that the business need to continue, what can be done? We help them by putting together some disability type solutions that will actually pay a benefit to the business owner to help with employee salaries, to help with um, 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 paying utilities, overhead expenses, things like
Mhm.
that. The plan can be designed to help them recoup some of those dollars to keep the business owner and actually even hire a replacement to do some job functions. So anything to keep the doors open during that time of disability while they recover is a good thing. It's a good thing.
Wow. I love it. That, and this is a personal question that I'm gonna ask because you're really hitting some key areas that I'm very curious about.
Sure.
So I've interviewed a guest on here who's heavy into business acquisitions. That's his thing. He acquires businesses, he buys businesses, and he also, takes on clients to buy businesses and acquire businesses for them. And I've had the opportunity to study under him and learn, the components of business acquisition. One of the things that I found in our community, in our group, is that I would say one of the key um, selling points for a person who's interested or an investor who's interested in acquiring a new business is being able to have someone in place to run the business, someone in place to be the CEO so they can just be an investor and hands off of the business versus having to buy the business and take over to put time in working in the business as the owner or the CEO. So with what you do, would you be a good fit for people like myself who's looking into business acquisition but want to have someone in place to run the business for them? Do you offer services that will help investors like that?
Um, we do not. Um, um, but I understand, that need
Mhm.
for that, but that's not a strategic area that we're set up to assist with. So
Gotcha. I got you.
apologize.
So you work directly with the
We
businesses and business.
we work
I
directly
got
with the businesses and like I said, as the defensive coordinators, for
you.
them, we work hand in hand with them as they run their offense, and we also help them in terms of wealth generation.
Got you.
So it's
Okay.
not as though we're one-sided. We come in and just help you, protect yourself. Once
Right.
we get that solid foundation, remember, we want to help you build wealth, in non-traditional ways that will beef up your whole retirement portfolio. Because for business
Wow.
owners, one thing that business owners do that is concerning is that you're running your business for years, and your vision is that your retirement's going to be based off the success of your business. And
Right.
you're going to draw your retirement income from your business.
Right.
It's risky to do that.
Got you.
You really need to plan for your retirement outside of your business and have
Right.
retirement vehicles that are going to grow and be there uh, without being directly tied to the business success. Because you could work a business for a long time. How many businesses were running 10, 15, 20 years on a great pace, on a strong offense, and then COVID hit and they got ran out of business?
Absolutely.
If they all along during the good years, if they would have had made sure they had some retirement vehicles working while the business was running, if they would have went out of business, those outside avenues of retirement would still be in play. You know.
Wow. That's amazing because I was one of the people who suffered, when COVID hit as well. Doing public speaking, you can't run your business if you can't be, in front of people, and that was one of the reasons why I kind of had to pivot and do what I do now in terms of the consulting aspect. But that's amazing. I think so many people that own businesses are not aware of the challenges and the risks that are out there, especially for
That's
retirement
correct.
or even just protecting yourself from, any type of tragic, accident that happens. So I think that's it's a very unique business model that I'm not, I think that is I love it. I think it's unique, and I think not enough people are aware of the challenges that you guys offer solutions for. And I think that this information definitely needs to be in more people's I said access. More people should have access to this kind of information. So when you talk about like the tax-free retirement and the wealth building and estate planning, do you also have services to do that for business owners as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. So and like I said, if as uh, the retirement building, for a family is really the same as how it should be for a business owner. It's just that it's outside of the business. So because
Gotcha.
even though you have a business, you're really trying to build wealth for your family, right?
Right.
You
Right.
know, so with regards to that, and I'm glad you brought that up in terms of why we talk about tax-free retirement wealth building.
Mhm.
One thing that we pride ourselves on is is based on what we found. Carl and I have found that too many higher income earners people are just not maximizing the wealth that they're going to need to one day live the retirement lifestyle that they dreamed about. And this
Right.
is for many reasons. But the main reason is that they didn't plan for what will be the biggest drain on their money in retirement,
Mm,
and that is taxes.
mm,
People don't realize that, when you get retired and you're pulling from these retirement vehicles, your 401ks, your IRAs, your pension, all that, 95% of the retirement plans in America are coming from taxable income. And
yeah.
so I know a lot of people don't like paying taxes now while they're working. They're really not going to like paying taxes when you're retired.
Right.
Okay. And that's the case. So we help people plan while they're still working, and the younger the better, to try to build a bucket of money that will provide you tax-free retirement income that
Right.
will lower your tax obligation in retirement. And the more you can have, coming from these accounts to supplement your taxable account, the less taxes that you pay. That's how we help people maximize their wealth in retirement. It's the difference between the lifestyle that you lead. Okay.
Right. Right.
And so those are the type of things that we, help business owners and families talk about with regard to to uh, to retirement. But along these same lines, uh, there's a lot to fear in terms with retirement planning outside of taxes as well that we help people plan for. Um, One thing that people don't consider are the uncertainties of healthcare expenses.
Mm,
That's a big unknown that people don't really plan for.
right.
I read something the other day that said that in this year, 2023, if you were 65 years old and retiring, that you can plan on spending $300,000 on healthcare expenses throughout your retirement. A lot of times when people are estimating and projecting for their retirement, they don't factor those type of things in.
Right.
There's also the uncertainty of inflation. Okay, and we talk a lot about inflation. And if you look at the 3% average rate uh, of inflation over time, for example, if you need $50,000 a
Mhm,
year to run your household, you
mhm.
need to plan for $90,000 a year to live 20 years from now.
Wow.
So that's the rate of inflation. That's the way that the way the cost of goods increases with inflation, and we don't factor those type of things in. You know,
Mhm,
so those are just two main areas that we help people plan for when they're. It's a lot of times when you get to retirement age, I know you see a lot of people, working part-time jobs,
right.
or 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 they are living at a lifestyle less than what they dreamed about. you
Right.
know and then the
Yeah.
last big things, if you allow me, is
Oh, no
we
problem.
we need to protect against the stock market.
Mm,
Most of those accounts that we're using to build retirement assets are tied directly to the market. You know, and you don't want to be in a situation like back in 2008 when the market crashed 50% that year. Think of the
right.
people who were 64 years old wanting to retire the next year, got $2 or $3 million in this account, and then it was cut in half.
Right.
Those folks had to wait 4.5 years for those assets to get back to where they were before. So as you get closer to retirement, it's important to reallocate some of those funds into some of the financial solutions that we provide. That's going to give you that market protection that will allow your account to continuously grow without setback, and also in some accounts where you can pull tax-free retirement income from.
Wow. Yeah, you definitely hit a lot of key points because one of the things that I was thinking about too, as you were explaining about preparing for inflation, that goes along with for those who are into purchasing life insurance policies. I remember a few years ago, I bought a whole term years ago in my early 20s, but then I also wanted to look into some term life insurance because I have younger children and I want to, just have a little extra cushion for them, God forbid, if anything happened to me prematurely. And I remember when I was getting the quotes from the advisor who was advising me, and she would quote me on time of what the prices were now. But then when she talked about what it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, it was an exponential difference in the amount of money that I would have to pay, in real time now versus what I would pay if I took on the same policy 3, 4, 5 years down the line. That's something I think a lot of us don't think about. We don't look at how heavily influenced inflation is in terms of finances and financial assets protection. That's
Absolutely.
powerful.
Absolutely. And there's a couple factors that go along with that. The insurance companies, the premiums are set based on risk, you know. So it's age, and it's not just age that they're weighing, but it's your health as well. So,
Right.
it just makes sense as people get older, it's more risky to insure. That's why it's very inexpensive to get, like even a permanent life insurance policy on children, which I highly recommend, because when they
Absolutely.
get to be 20, 30, 40 years old, it's going to be quite a bit more to
Right.
to insure them. And that's even with no health conditions, you know,
Right.
with that. So that's very important. And I preach that a lot, and try to get people to understand that when time is on your side, you know, uh, with even as, young adults, middle age, even when your kids, it's more than, you know, insurance is much more than a death benefit. Okay.
Right. Absolutely.
It
It's
it
a
it
wealth
it,
building
it,
vehicle.
it it's, there's multiple purposes, and I have trainings on the differences and the purposes for those, which
Right.
I will talk about before we get off. But there's a lot to life insurance that I found that the masses of people just don't understand, or they have a very narrow viewpoint of what life insurance is, and what it can and what it does. And it's just due to lack of, just lack of
Education.
exposure
Hmm.
to that. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, because there's a lot to be said about that, and use it as advantage. And my last point on this is that, like I said, they're not coming on for the masses of people, but the very wealthy people, they fully utilize permanent life insurance, cash value life insurance to their benefit, and they've been doing it for decades and decades and decades. And they utilize it, within the IRS code,
Right.
to pull tax-free, you know, um, distributions out of. That's why when you hear a lot of them saying they pay less, like Warren Buffett said, he pays less in taxes than his secretary.
Mm.
How does that seem possible? This guy's worth $900 billion. It's because he's utilizing some of these tax-free avenues, and a lot of it is coming from permanent life insurance products. These products have
Mm.
gotten people through depressions, recessions. They stay profitable. I mean, here in Florida, these type of policies, and people go to instead of their banks. Walt Disney broke ground 50 something years ago in Florida by pulling money out of his cash value life insurance policy.
Wow.
It has allowed companies like McDonald's and J.C. Penney's to stay in business through the Great Depression. I mean, there's a lot of use with it, but the ultra wealthy people, we like to bring those methods and concepts down to average everyday American people to take advantage of it as well.
Mm. I love it. I love it. So, I know you said there was a few more points you wanted to hit on that before we wrapped up, and I know time's getting close. But one quick question I had before we jump into those is, now when you talk about the way the the solutions and the products are set up and structured, just for me to kind of get clarity on it, as a
Sure.
business that has 50, 100 employees, and I offer insurance, health insurance, life insurance, et cetera, to my employees. When I invest into your products and services, do how do I pay that? And like, is it a reoccurring, like, monthly thing? Is it an annual thing? Is it bi-weekly? Is it weekly? Like, how does the payment process goes for these products and services? And then is it the same as you would be as a distributor to these policies? I should say these benefits to employees.
Right. So there's group plans and there's individual plans. So
Gotcha.
it could be very similar to, like with any other type of, like, car insurance or homeowners insurance. You can pay annually, you can pay quarterly, you can pay a monthly premium,
Gotcha.
and you design a plan with your specialist on based on your employees, how you want to set that up. So it could be anywhere. It could be on the retirement planning, like 401ks and things like that. It could be
Mhm.
group, life insurance as well. So
Okay.
it could be every customer is unique, so every case is going to be a custom plan to fit the needs of the business owner.
Gotcha.
On the individual level, same type of thing. Everything is customized. It may be the same product, but in terms of the level of coverage and the amount of premium and the different features within, kind of like an a la carte type policy,
Okay.
then that's how everything is set up and designed.
I got you. Perfect. 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 Okay. So now with the ability to maximize the wealth building process with these particular policies, there's a couple of things I think you said you wanted to tap into before we wrapped it up.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So
No problem.
a little bit more on the retirement planning side in terms of the products that I use, in addition to utilizing a permanent insurance policy to actually build up cash value, that
Mhm.
it grows with compounding interest, and it's used like an investment vehicle. The big benefit is that, in this permanent life insurance policy, the IRS allows individuals to overfund the cash portion of the policy. So you pay a premium monthly or annually. That money that you contribute or pay in the policy has two purposes. One is for the death benefit, because you
Right.
want your beneficiaries to be taken care of in the event that you pass away. And
Hmm.
that's one portion of it. The other portion of your premium is allocated towards the cash account that's growing, where you could use that as an investment. That's what
Mm.
grows, and you accumulate cash value. As it grows, the IRS, um, because it gets awarded a dividend or it gets awarded an interest credit based on the type of permanent policy it is, all that is tax deferred. Okay.
Mm.
But the IRS will allow an individual to access that cash value tax free.
Mm.
So that's the key benefit, where you're maximizing your wealth by paying less taxes.
Mm.
Okay, and when you do that, in a sense, you can when you're accessing that, you can do it in a way it's tax advantage, but then it's also used for many different types of purposes, and also allows you to leave a legacy of wealth, to your loved ones as well. Okay. So it's an excellent tool that I could share a lot about with you on its use. It's non-traditional, in a sense of it's not your typical retirement planning tool. It's more robust because it provides living benefits as well as the death benefit. So these
Mm.
policies will allow you to access a portion of the death benefit while you're still living, in case you do have healthcare expenses. If you do have a chronic or critical illness, instead of wiping out your savings while dealing with that illness, you could advance some of that death benefit ahead of time to pay for those, so you're not and stacking up all that debt, and you're paying
Right.
that off. So there's a lot of opportunities within that policy as well. But
Wow.
also with retirement planning, as you are, reaching retirement age. Say you got people, in their late 40s, 50, and they're like 10 years from their planned retirement, and you have traditional accounts like a 401k from an old company that you used to work for.
Hmm.
Um, that that it's sitting there not being funded, and it's just sitting there bouncing around with the market not being of good use. Okay. You want that to continue to grow consistent and protected from the stock market. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I uh, I also provide fixed indexed annuities, which is an excellent tool that's going to give you the opportunity to roll that 401k or an IRA or another 403b, which is like a pension, an account from an old employer. So a lot of people out there, we move jobs, we work for companies for a while, we leave, and those accounts just sit there. They
Right.
could be put to good use, and they're not
Right.
always going up and down. We can roll that over into a fixed index annuity, and it guarantees protection from the stock market. Okay. So when the market goes down, since it's not tied directly to that, it will not lose value. It either go up or stay the same. It's protected from the stock market. And it also
Mm,
gives you the option, if you want, to actually turn that into an income stream for life, like your
wow.
Social Security. Yes.
Mm,
Because one of the last things that you want to do in retirement is outlive your money.
right, right.
That's called longevity risk. You want to take that out. So for market protection and having the option to turn it on and turn it into an income stream for life, that is an excellent tool for that. And I help people with that all the time. And it's a great tool that more people need to understand and utilize.
Wow. One last question because I know the time
Sure.
is rounded up. But so what I'm hearing, it to me, I'm not sure if it's the same, but are some of these tools like similar or the equivalent of like a self-directed IRA?
What a self-directed IRA is a tool that that I've had one before.
Hmm.
That's a retirement tool, but with that, um, it's an individual has complete control, over that,
Right,
and
right.
you use it for various functions. That is a traditional type of retirement tool that can be set up. So assets in that, can be converted into an annuity as well if somebody wants to,
Got you.
but
And
but also with that, it's still taxable. Um, it's still taxable when you're taking withdrawals from it.
that was going to lead to my next question because from the research that I've done, I have saw, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I think you probably be a lot more knowledgeable on it, but there are some self-directed IRAs that you can set up to where you are able to purchase assets in terms of like maybe real estate,
Yes,
um, and still be able to avoid and mitigate the tax risk because you're using the IRA to purchase an asset, which you can get, not get away with, but you can pretty much get through without being taxed on that income. Is
that
that
is
correct?
correct. That is correct. Yeah, that's what people use that for. A lot of times they use it for real estate, where you pull
Gotcha.
money out because you can make a higher gain, say in real estate, than you
Right.
can you growing it. So you're taking control over the growth of that account. Yeah,
Gotcha.
you borrow money from out, and then you pay it back in a certain time frame. Where it's not declared income or withdrawal. Okay.
I got you.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's a very good tool to use for that particular purpose. And one last item I wanted to mention for also what goes along with retirement is
Mhm.
long-term care insurance, and that's about wealth preservation. So if you are blessed enough to be able to generate a lot of retirement assets during your
Mhm.
career, and you're in retirement, you want to protect those because one of the unexpected events that happen are people having long-term care events, and
Mm.
that means that they're going to need some type of healthcare assistance. It
Right.
can be at the home or any type of assistance that people have not planned for. So there is insurance out there that can supplement your income that you can plan ahead for that will keep you from draining all your assets out to get to a level where you would qualify for Medicaid. So that
Wow.
is, if you're planning on keeping that money and pass on generation, the next generation, you want to preserve the wealth that you build, and that type of insurance plan will actually help you maintain that cost and maintain your assets as well. So it's another thing that solution that we provide people to help them maintain their assets in retirement and pay for those costs.
Gotcha. I love it. I love it. Well, I tell you what, it's been an excellent conversation and an excellent interview, which I expected it to be. So with that, wrapping up, would you like to share, how people can
Yeah,
reach out to you, how they can find you, and also I'll get with you to list everything on the description of the show as well, so people can find you as well. But just on the way
absolutely.
out, you mind sharing?
Yes, thank you so much, Andre.
No problem.
It's been a pleasure. My main thing is educating people.
Right.
I touched on a lot of different topics today. There's a
Hmm.
lot more detail I can go into to really help people really understand and show how these, not just what the solution is, but how it works. And that's
Right.
what I do in my trainings. So I do like a webinar style presentation, which is just more like a 30-minute Zoom call with people who are interested in the things that I'm talking about, and it
Hmm.
talks about how we help people across all the areas. If you're a family, we talk about those three defensive strategies: personal asset protection, tax-free retirement wealth building, and estate planning. And I
Yeah.
also, in 30 minutes, we'll go through that, show you how these things work, what they are, and then I give you an opportunity to self-evaluate yourself with we call it a risk barometer. So you'll fill out points and evaluate yourself. That way you can walk away with an understanding of your level of risk across these different areas. And it's for
Right.
you to do with it whatever you want to. This is a free consultation. All of my consultations will always be free, at no
Gotcha.
cost. Consider me a financial resource, of information for you. And so you can grade yourself. And then if you choose, you can work with us on reducing those levels of risk, getting a solid foundation and building for the future. Likewise with businesses, I have a 30-minute presentation with business owners that I go through their particular areas of,
Mhm.
of financial risk that they can plan for and set a foundation to continuously build wealth as well. So please contact me. I believe, Andre, you're going to share the information on your site.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Again, Brad Wilson with BK Financial Solutions. You can text or call me at 913-302-7274 or email me at bradley.wilson@bkfinancialsolutions.com. I'll send you my calendar link. We can schedule a time, and I'd love to talk with you, get to know you and your family, you and your business, and be of service to you.
I love it. I love it. And I'll definitely be reaching out. Hopefully in the near future we can do it again because I know you said there's a lot more that you can go in depth on. And that's my whole purpose and my whole inspiration for this platform is to provide education on business and wealth building and personal development. So it's like I take pride in having people like yourself come on, you and Mrs. Wilson, and all my previous guests. Everybody has dropped a lot of phenomenal information. And my goal is 4 or 5 years down the line. I feel like I want to have every aspect of wealth building, of business, success touched some way, some form, on this platform. So that's my ultimate goal is to bring, the information from people like yourself to people who, wouldn't know where else to find it otherwise. And just to try to be, like you said, a pillar of building wealth and creating wealth for our community.
Outstanding. I really respect what you do. It's very important, and I applaud you. And thanks again. It's been a pleasure being here today.
Likewise. Likewise, I appreciate it. So I'll be in touch soon. You have a good one, Mr. Wilson. Thanks again for your time. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Prolific Perspectives podcast. And please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And we'll see you guys next week with another episode. Take care. Y'all have a good one. Peace.